Excuse me. Sorry about that. Welcome into another edition of the This Week in Phillies Baseball. I'm your host, James Scorza, with you, and with me, as always, is a very group of companions on this very important Monday. Mark Baker once again joined us. He was our co-host over at the Paznav Sports Show on Saturday morning. Mark, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty well. I mean, I'll tell you, that was a bit of a nail biter yesterday. Unfortunately, we didn't come out with the W.
Yeah, it was a long afternoon. I would bet. I
Yeah.
think because it was like it looked good for the first portion part, but then everything started to fade a little bit after that. Obviously, the bullpen struggles. We'll get into a lot of this stuff like we always do here on this program. We're supposed to have Austin Hammel on. I think he's going to join us in just a little bit, hopefully. So for the Phillies, though, the week looked very well for them. Obviously, they looked very well in the last week. I thought they played very well, obviously. So we'll recap this breakdown of this Phillies Diamondback series. So, Mark, I'll ask you the first important question since I got here. What was your takeaways on this this game on yesterday and also the weekend series against the Diamondbacks? Like, how'd you feel about what the Phillies did this weekend?
I mean, obviously, if you have the chance to sweep, it would have been nice to sweep Arizona, who, as in the past couple of years have been a wild card contender. I would say that's probably a better loss that you could have. You're down 7-1, and you come back and you tie it. That's as good as a loss that you could have. So Friday and Saturday was a little bit better in terms of bullpen. I worry at times that Alvarado is going to have have like a Mitch Williams thing going on where he's just going to wear down, because who else do they have to rely on? Right. And I think it's also simply put, the Phillies are 13-6 at home.
Yeah,
obviously very good home team. And that really, that benefits their bullpen. You got the crowd behind you. I just, I worry in the long run that they're gonna ride Alvarado and he's gonna wear down at the end of the year. I even saw that a little bit yesterday. But granted, I mean, he did come out in the second and in the 10th inning, which is a big ask. I mean,
right.
With two runs down after Schwarber hits the home run. I mean, you still needed some offense, and you found it. I mean, this has been the past, twice in the past week where they've been down. They've been down the 9th inning. I mean, that's a good. I mean, all this is about perspective, but if you're able to kind of pull out those games, I mean, that can benefit you later in the year. But I mean, my still big concern is with the bullpen, even though it's, you did have a couple of 1-run games that you were able to pull out. I just don't know where you go from here in terms of, you don't want to wear Alvarado down.
Yeah, absolutely. Austin Hammel checks in here today. What's going on, Austin? How you doing, buddy?
Not much. I totally lost track of time getting stuff done around my house. Mitch messaged me and I went, holy shit, it's 5:30. Ran back to my computer.
Yeah, right. No, you just got here just in time. I just asked the first important question. So this Phillies basically this series against the Diamondbacks, I would ask the first important question to Mark, but I'll ask you the same question. So what was your immediate breakdown on this series against the Diamondbacks and how you think they did this weekend?
I mean, you definitely, like Mark was saying when I hopped in, you saw a lot of really good fight in the team, being able to come back down in the 9th inning to be able to force the extra innings, but the collapse by Alvarado to let them pull ahead again was definitely not something that you wanted to see from him. He had been very consistent throughout the year. So we hope, like you were saying, I hope that we don't sort of wear this guy down, because our bullpen has not been the best at times. And you just really hope that there's going to be some sort of questions answered going forward with this bullpen, because I don't understand it at all.
Yeah.
Like the Tampa Bay Rays right now, Pete Fairbanks is 8 for 8 on save opportunities. The Rays.
Yeah, I know. It's You know what the craziest part about it is that with this Phillies team, it's like high and low. Like 1 second they look really good, and then the next minute they look like they want to torture you. Like that.
Yeah.
It's like it's been like that all season, and I think that's going to be the big stepping stone in this season, especially if the bullpen starts to struggle like this. It's like you think about yesterday, like you guys alluded to, with Alvarado pitching 2 innings. I guess that was something that was out of the ordinary, especially with a bullpen that saw a lot of the arms like in the previous games, obviously with the Diamondbacks, and let alone the National Series too. So that's going to be something to keep a close eye on too. Mitzkowski joins us now and says, "Let's go." And also, Rob Thompson sucks. So I guess he's thinking about. I guess Topper, I pissed him off again. Look, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, that lineup yesterday, that was a head scratcher to me, because you think about like Bryson Stott sitting again, and then you think about like Schwarber in the outfield, and then like I mean I never understood why they continue to put Schwarber out in the left field. But if you have him at the DH position, like why do you continue to twist the logic into a damn pretzel? I don't understand it. So let's get into our I would say standout performances, but I guess the one thing is for sure though for this Phillies team, especially what they look like in the game on I guess it was this weekend. So I guess for me, actually I'll ask you guys this question. So if you had to pick out a standout performance this weekend, what was the standout performance in your opinion that stood out in the weekend? Austin, I'll start with you.
I mean, I wanted to hope that it would have been Bryson Stott maintaining that consistency, but he had a really, really rough weekend.
Yeah.
I feel like the guy that you really probably have to go with again is probably Kepler. He was very consistent, especially throughout the weekend. 2 for 4 on Saturday, and like I said, he's managing to put it together, which is really great to see. And having him out there to be able to. Unfortunately, we didn't see him on Sunday, but play in the outfield in place of Kyle Schwarber has been a sight for sore eyes, because that left field has kind of been a big black hole for us until we got Kepler added in. But seeing Marsh come back and start to see the ball a little bit better is a really good sign. Granted, he got absolutely shelled, but Ranger Suarez coming back into the rotation is another bright spot for this team. But the performance just wasn't there. I feel like, give him a couple more starts in big league action, and he'll start to find that a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely, personally, I would probably go Max Kepler. And it's probably because I'm playing a bit of favoritism. I watched him play in Minnesota a lot. I loved watching him play, but he's still got it a little bit. And I'm just glad that we've got him here to be able to take over that spot defensively.
Yeah, right. Mark, what about you? Who stood out to you this weekend between this Phillies Diamondback series, or the whole week?
For the whole week, mind you, he was 1 for 6 yesterday. I would say Trey Turner. I mean, this is the guy. I mean, listen, the long ball wasn't there this past week, but he's hitting right around 300, which is where I'd like him. Now, does that mean that he's been worth the contract? That's another conversation. But this past week, outside of yesterday, I think he's done a good job, especially with Bryce not really. Bryce struggling. Castellanos has been a little bit dormant, especially with Bohm struggling. Trey Turner definitely has. I mean, I think the other night against the Nationals, he was 4 for 4, and it was a quiet 4 for 4. And he's definitely been better. He's been a little bit more quiet, and we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you guys make very good points on about what to stand out this weekend. But I'm going to go a little bit off the edge here. But I think Aaron Nola was a good standout this weekend in that game he had on Saturday night. Like, I mean, yeah, he struggled a little bit in the first couple innings, but after that he started to tone it down, and I thought it was very good to see Noah go back to the Noah that we know and love. Obviously, that's the most important thing. So for me, I mean, that's like probably one of the positives of the weekend I could take out of it, that Nola looked like back to the Aaron Nola of the old. So that's going to be something to look forward to, especially in his next start. But the other one that's been a standout like I agree with Austin. I think Kepler has been really good as of lately, and seeing like him starting to maintain the same circumstance that he had at the beginning of the season. That's going to be something to look forward to, especially in the next few months or so, because like obviously we're now in April now, and there's going to be a lot of we're not in April. We're at May now. I keep on forgetting we're in May. So, so the most important thing is that hopefully they can contain this too as we get closer and closer to hitting season, and also when that dog days of summer hit too. But speaking of the end of the month, the Phillies end April with 16 wins on the young season. So it was not much of a successful April than I expected, but I guess this is where they're at right now. I guess I'm okay with it at the same time. But Mark, I'll ask you this question: overall, with the Phillies with 16 wins on the young season, do you think they should have done more, or you think they're right where they thought they were?
I mean, they're right as I expected. They're an experienced team, a veteran team. It does not surprise me that they came out and they played well. And they played well in April. I had expected, and I talked to someone the other day about this. Is that out the gate? Out the gate with the going to the World Series in 22 and NLCS in 23. The divisional, they had everything they needed. They brought some guys back. It makes sense that they did what they were supposed to do. Now I think going forward, I think asking questions around Bryce Harper's role, like what the status of Bohm, JT, Schwarber's going to want to get paid. You also have the bullpen. I mean, this is as expected. I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot more bumps on the road, especially with a particularly aging team. But we'll see.
Yeah, sure. And Austin, same question to you. You think this is the Phillies where they're at right now? You think this is what this was expected by this team too?
I mean, for the month of April, you definitely did see a lot of highs and lows, especially because of the fact that, beginning of the season, you'll see a lot of that. A lot of teams still trying to find their groove a little bit. I think Philadelphia has found it a little bit. As of right now, sitting 2.5 back of the Mets in the division is not bad. But both Philadelphia and the Mets are on on the losing side of things right now. The Mets have lost their last 2. Philadelphia just losing the 1.
Right.
So I mean, there's definitely room for improvement. And like Mark said, there's a lot of questions for a roster that's definitely a bit on the older side. And like I had said, the question of are the bats that are cold going to stay cold, or are they going to start to heat up and find themselves a little bit?
Sure.
Same thing with the bullpen. Like there's a lot of questions coming out of the first month of the season that you hope are going to get answered very quickly and don't leave more behind.
Sure.
But it's a matter of only time's going to tell, and we just have to keep the fingers crossed and hope that it all works out.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, because you think about what this Phillies team is, that especially early on in the season, they look like they can win a ton of games, and then when the time calls for them to step it up, and look what happened last year at the London series. I mean, that started to become their downfall after that. And most importantly, too, is that if the Phillies can continue to maintain this and have some level of success as we go into the later months in like May and June and even like July, and even when it's crunch time, I mean, that's going to be the most important thing, what they're going to look like in those upcoming months when it really starts to matter the most. All right, let's get into our player spotlight like we talked about last week. And there's a couple ones I want to ask here. Is that it's that these are very good, actually very good outings in the beginning parts of the Diamondbacks series. I mean, you think about what happened on Friday night. Jesus Luzardo looked well in that game on Friday night. I thought he had another dominant game. He had a little bit of a slow start, but he was able to contain it, though. So, Austin, I'll ask you this first question. So, with Jesus Luzardo pitched on, I guess it was Friday night. So, Jesus Luzardo pitched on Friday night. So, how did you think he pitched overall? Do you think it was a good outing by him again, or do you think he could have done more?
Yeah, I feel like Luzardo's definitely got his stride right now. He's
Mm-hmm.
pitching very effectively. The numbers are there. It's going to be a matter of the maintaining that consistency throughout the season. He'll have his bad starts, he'll have his really good starts, but for right now, you just got to ride the highs that he's giving you right now because he is pitching out of sight. 3-0 with a 1.94 ERA, 47 strikeouts, and a 118 WHIP. Like, you can't beat that right now.
No, you can't.
It's very impressive, and you just hope that he can keep that going. I mean, going into Tampa, he has a better ERA on the road with a 1.59, 22 Ks being away from Citizens Bank Park. So
yep,
he's been playing very effectively, and just hope he can continue that upside.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most important thing too with Luzardo. I mean, it's probably him and Weaver like 1 and 2 right now as the aces of that pitching staff. I think that's going to be the most important thing too. So, same question to you, Mark. With Jesus Luzardo, who pitched on Friday night, what was your takeaways on how he pitched on Friday night?
I mean, more of my takeaway was from Sunday with Rangers start is that, you know, you're going to need Luzardo as a strong lefty. Mm-hmm. It may take some time for Ranger to kind of step up a little bit. And I mean, I agree. I really hope he can keep it up because, you know, you have hitters that are a little bit hot and cold, you know. You know, it was 3-2 on Friday.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
and 3-2 on Friday. I mean, you can only hope the guy can keep it up. You hope that he gets the run support. I mean, I think it's going to be a big ask. I mean, a big ask to really maintain that ERA.
Yeah.
You know, he might not always get that run support, but this is exactly what we needed. You didn't think that, you know, you thought Ranger Suarez would come back even after some rehab starts. He'd be ready to go, and you know, it seemed like he ran out of gas a little bit. So to have another arm like Luzardo certainly is a plus.
Yeah, definitely. I think the other thing too with Luzardo is that, like I even brought it up, it's that you need to have that cohesiveness, especially going into the later months of the season. And you think about what he did in like basically the last couple months. Obviously, he's looked very well. I mean, I thought he pitched very well again. You know what's crazy about it too with Luzardo too? I thought about this too. Like him and Zach Wheeler, especially like timing wise. I mean, they once they get the ball, they don't like try to find the perfect pitch. I mean, they just see they just like dominate. They're like dominant on all phases. I thought this was a very good pickup by Dabrowski and the Phils to get them into in the offseason. But the most important thing too is that, I mean, if this was like postseason baseball here today, I got in hindsight being 2020, I would definitely put him like as the game 2 starter. As probably put him like I'll put Sanchez as 3 or maybe Nola 4. But right now, I mean, if the Phillies can make sure what Luzardo has been pitching like, I think right now, if he continues to have this level of success into the later months, like we alluded to, that should be something to look forward to in this matchup. I mean, this is going to be a good matchup coming up this weekend against the Guardians too. So that's going to be something to look forward to, especially what it'll look like in one of those games.
Yeah, 100%. And you just to give you a quick little breakdown of some of the numbers from that start for Luzardo: 5 1/3, 95 total pitches, 63 of them for strikes. Wow. So the guy's been really effective being able to hit his spots in the zone. Only 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. I mean, you know, 9 hits, it is what it is, but still in my opinion, with how they sort of limit a lot of pitchers now, I would consider that a very quality start. Definitely
for sure. I guess we could talk about the Aaron Nola performance on Saturday night. I thought he pitched very well. I brought it up in one of my standout performances at the early portion of our show. But I'd like to get your opinion on this, guys. So you think about Aaron Nola, who had himself a very good outing on that Saturday night against the Diamondbacks. I mean, he was a little shaky at the beginning parts of the game, but he started to tone it down a little bit. But I think for me, I'll ask you guys the question, and I'll ask you the question about this. So with Aaron Nola finally getting that breaking the camel's back here and finally just getting back to where he was, hopefully at the portion that he was at the beginning of last year too. Was this something that that was definitely worth, like, this was definitely a much needed outing that he needed to prove his confidence a little bit? Austin, what do you think? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially to have that outing be at home, it's
Yeah.
even more of a confidence booster. 6 shutout innings, throwing over 100 pitches, only allowing 4 hits, striking out 8. If you don't get your confidence back from that, I don't know what's going to be able to help you unless it's a perfect game.
Right. And that's the thing too. And he pitched very well. Mark, what do you think? How did you think Noah's outing on Saturday night? I mean, how did you think he did? You think he could have done more? Or you think he probably was something that was like definitely that was needed for him to get his confidence back?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree with Austin. I mean, you had to get one, and to have it be at home. And I also will add, Arizona's offense can be a little shaky at times.
Sure.
It's definitely something to consider. I mean, it was definitely one of those outings in which at home against an Arizona team, it's a little bit shaky on offense, a little inconsistent, a little hit and miss.
Sure.
This was definitely a game for Aaron Nola to bounce back. I mean, we'll see what happens going forward. I mean, I don't, he was a little shaky in the beginning. I mean, I would even argue even Luzardo was. Walker, yeah. I remember, Taijuan Walker against the Cubs had, bases loaded in the first inning and, had a 40 pitch inning to get out of that. I mean, yeah, that's one way to look at that is that, oh, well, that's a bit concerning. And sure. Yeah. But an ability to kind of an ability to get out of jams like that, if anything, that's a big booster of a confidence for a pitcher. And so, I mean, I agree with Austin. It's considering he's at home, and we needed it. It might be in May, but maybe this is what he needs to get back on track.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, because you think about what Noah. I mean, there's times when Nola looks like he's an ace, and then the next minute he starts to nibble. Like, there's a little bit of things that I used to bring up on my Pass and Nav show a lot with the nibbling, and also how he would just get excited sometimes and feel like, okay, I finally, he gets ahead of himself sometimes, and that's the most important thing. I mean, the way he pitched on Saturday, I thought he pitched very well. I thought if you have that same similar effects that what he does in many games, I mean, yeah, sure, it's only one game. Obviously, we'll have to worry about if he could sustain this for a long season. But so far, I mean, if he pitches like this every 5 days, I mean, that's the most important thing. I'll be looking forward to what he has in store the next outing too. But speaking
especially with the capability that he has with his off-speed stuff, Aaron Nola has very dirty off-speed stuff.
Yeah.
So if he can get, you can tell from his outings, if he can get that stuff really working in the first 5-6 batters, he's going to have a really strong outing.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, if he could pitch 5 or 6 innings, like you have alluded to, Austin, is that if he has those type of outings and he also finds ways to get more strikeouts and less gems, and also just try to be more significant of trying to be like that, it's going to come down the road, especially what it'll look like in other games, especially. But it's a good start. Hopefully, it'll continue to sustain that in his next start. I guess it's either against Cleveland or whatever. I mean, he's not going to be playing this week, right? Against Tampa Bay. That'll be. I think it'll be the Cleveland series, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Let me see what I can figure out about the probables for that.
Yeah. Oh wait. No, here we go. Hang on a sec. Let's see.
So Tuesday's Wheeler.
Oh, so no, it looks like Nola's not. Nola will probably pitch that game, the first game against Cleveland. That'll be that Friday night. That's what I thought so. All right, so this is a little bit of an elephant in the room that I had to talk about here. So I mean, it was actually a good outing for Ranger Suarez for two third innings, but unfortunately, I guess he just because the thing about with Ranger, like I want to ask you guys this question too, is that he looked like he had a good outing yesterday for 2 innings, and then he started to have a little bit of concern. But then I heard about what Anthony Sanfilippo was talking about last night on CBS Sports Zone, and also he said that he had some, like his windup was good, but then it started to become the stretch. I think somehow in some way the stretch was a big cause for concern. So, I mean, 2 1/3, only having a good 2/3 innings, but suddenly I guess like he just did not have it anymore. But Austin, I'll ask you this question. So, what do you think went wrong yesterday for Ranger? Like yesterday, that in his first start in quite a while.
I feel like it was a couple of multiple factors. First start of the season for him, coming off of dealing with back issues, especially for a guy who, you can see it in his form. He activates a lot of his back when he comes around to make those throws. You can tell he's definitely trying to be a little more careful with how he is making his approach to the plate.
Mm-hmm.
But he'll find that comfort zone again. He'll get himself back into that form. And like I said, it was his first start of the season, so it's going to happen. You're going to get humbled sometimes, and hopefully that was the one humbling that Ranger's going to have this year. But you can never really predict the future.
Right.
So I mean, like I said, I like to think that this is at least just him sort of getting the rust off. Like you said, the first like two and some change innings, he definitely did look decent.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then of course, dealing with coming off of a back issue, the wheels are probably going to come off at some point, because his rehab starts were only at best like maybe 4 or 5 innings. So he's trying to find that longevity again. Just give him some time. He'll be all right.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Because like you think about it too. Marco, same question to you. Like, what do you think went wrong yesterday for Rangers first outing in for quite a while?
It's a bit of a head scratcher. From the perspective of Rangers, a little bit, he had a couple of starts in the minors, and he had a considerable amount of rehab assignments. So I mean, it was a bit of a head scratcher. I would argue more of like the circumstance of the series. Arizona not really able to get runs home in the first 2 games of the series. Sometimes like, Perdomo had a great game yesterday. He's not really known for his offense. Sometimes just, in the final game of a series, when a team really needs to have one, it could be tough. I mean, like you just never know sometimes. It's a bit of a head scratcher from Ranger. You hope that he can pick it up. Maybe it was just one start, and like Austin was saying, coming off a back injury. But also I would just look at, I mean, this would have been a huge sweep if we were able to beat Arizona, who was a borderline wild card team. But they came out, they were hot. Makes sense, Nola's start and Luzardo giving up 9 hits. Eventually, the bats were there. They eventually were going to break through, and unfortunately, it there isn't a good time to bring Ranger back, but against the team that kind of needs to have one, a desperate team that's like, yeah, we don't want to get swept this early in the season.
Sure.
Yeah, and maybe Ranger was the subject to that. And you hope that's just not long term.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because I mean, yeah, yesterday was like I mentioned, it was good it was a good 2 innings, and then just like that 3rd inning looked like he started to like lose his command a little bit. But like I said, I mean, the other thing too, I mean, I'm not gonna partially blame Suarez on that, because you think about that the defensive front looked like there was a lot of struggles in their game. Obviously, there was a couple of areas like Alec Boehm and a couple of mishaps in the I wouldn't say, I think it was in the outfield or maybe in the infield. So that's going to be the most important thing. But I mean, yeah, sure, he's only played 1 game this season. Obviously, I guess it was a little bit of rust, but I mean, yeah, I mean, you think about it, that's how baseball runs. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So, I mean, the most important thing is that if they look down to it and see what they do, especially at Philly halftime agrees, says defense was really bad yesterday, a lot of mishaps. Yep, that's the most important thing, and that's probably why Rangers start to struggle a little bit, and that's going to be probably something to look forward to as we get closer. I mean, if Ranger gets another good outing out of it too, we'll find out what he'll look like in the next couple games or so too. So let's get into the bullpen watch. Yesterday, or actually this week rather, there was a lot of positivity coming out of the bullpen, and there was a little bit of a storyline that happened in the game. I think it was a Wednesday, maybe Tuesday, or sometime during the week, where this fan actually became an icon in the Philly sports scene for maybe a couple days or so. That he was mimicking Jose Alvarado, and I guess he got tickets for the Phillies game and all that too. So it was kind of cool seeing that stuff, especially like one of his favorite pitchers that was like kind of like you grew up like watching like a Cole Hammels, or like you grew up watching like a Roy Halladay, and you want to mimic him and all that. So I mean, this is like something positive to come out of it, because it actually gave a little bit of a boost to the Phillies, because he was at a couple of the Phillies games where he was at, and he started to become a good luck charm. So I mean, like there's nothing like excitement about baseball in this day and age, but there's nothing more excitement that this, like I said, this pitcher he's from Princeton actually. His name is Prince Bailey, a 12-year-old that was in the stands, imitates Jose Alvarado in a high leverage situation against the Nationals, and he became like a good luck charm and a smart plug for this team. So I mean, how cool is that to see like something like that happen again? Because I can remember a long time ago there was like a guy heckling Jonathan Bronxton, and it had that same kind of similar effect about that too. So, I mean, I'll let you guys take the floor in this one. I mean, how cool was that to see that stuff, especially like a player that is like really that thought. I mean, what was your immediate reaction when you saw this on? I think it was during the week with Alvarado having a fan mimic his mechanics a little bit. Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the Phillies as not even a baseball operation, but as a brand, has they've really set themselves apart from the rest of the league. Because when you think about it, the Rangers have won a World Series, the Royals, the Nationals, all teams when they're good, yeah, people will come out.
Mm-hmm.
The Phillies have a particular brand where they find themselves in this situation. I mean, think about it. The fanatic, ring the bell. They've had the high hopes. I mean, they have such like a brand that goes outside of just baseball operations.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why it's like, a lot of talk about Bryce Harper this week struggling. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like we've gotten our money's worth with Bryce Harper, and not only do really from an operational standpoint, it's that this guy puts people in the seats. I mean, like these players are so like Bryson Stott with his with the walk up song. I mean, this goes really beyond baseball, and
yeah,
it's not just really like even when the Phillies aren't, they've only won 2 championships.
Mm-hmm.
And like the Nationals have won one since 2008. The Marlins have won 2. The sport really goes in this, and this brand of Phillies baseball goes really just beyond just, let's just put a winner out there 1 or 2 years, fans will come out, and then we'll suck for 10 years and no one will watch us. Is that
right?
The Phillies just have a way to just keep that brand going, and it's that's what really it points out to me, and they really find like little ways to keep it up.
Yeah, definitely. Austin, same question to you. You nailed it on the head about what you said about like the day and age of the Phillies baseball thing, because you think about Red October and all that circumstances that happened in that month, and also the dancing on my own, and then the AOK stuff. So, I mean, that was kind of like what was missing in the last like 10, 11 years going back to 2011. But I feel like the question to you, Austin, it's like it feels like once it came back, it felt like it was going to stay here for a while.
Yeah, definitely. And the vibe has definitely continued since then. I mean, this team has been very incredible to watch throughout the years now. We dealt with very massive struggles. We had a point where Aaron Altair was one of the better players on this team.
Yeah,
So,
right.
so we've definitely stepped up in the last decade, which is great to see. The talent that's come here to sort of inject themselves into not only the team but the community around them, and sort of be able to get get the same energy back from the fans.
Yeah.
It's always exciting to see, and I feel like going back to talking about the kid imitating Alvarado. That's the beauty of baseball, man.
Oh man,
I grew up every time I would goof around with my friends, playing wiffle ball or something, I would imitate Barry Zito.
There you go.
Everyone has that batting stance that they imitate, and if they pitch, they have that pitcher that they imitate. For me, the batter that I imitated was what was his name? Richie Sexton.
Yeah.
And then the pitcher was Barry Zito. Something about Zito, like the full come behind the head and then the kick back up as the leg comes up too, was just always really fun to see. And then seeing Cole Hammel sort of have that same thing where he doesn't go all the way down to the waist and then come up with it, where he'll come back down and just from like about bottom of the letters come back up on the delivery. Like being able to see people like do all that kind of stuff still. Like I remember when they did that shit to Craig Kimbrell. All the fans behind home plate when he would look in just doing this at him. Like it's one of those things that you love about the sport. It's proof that baseball is still alive and well in the city of Philadelphia, and not only here but worldwide. You see people doing this stuff all the time. Like there was a point I remember MLB Network would bring in a guy that would imitate players' batting stances.
Yeah.
So like it's all sorts of really fun stuff. I just love seeing the signs around in the fan base. Like baseball still has a very strong pulse in Philadelphia.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, to impersonate somebody like that, I mean, Tim Lincecum had like a little bit of similar ripple.
Yeah,
I almost threw my hip out trying to do that.
Oh my god, yeah, right? Yeah,
him. Hideo Nomo was another one. The long pause up at the top.
Oh yeah,
and then the hard like almost Valenzuela style turn your back completely to the catcher and the long hold there. Like
the submarine pitchers too.
Oh yeah, that's what.
Yeah. Oh gosh. The amount of times that you would be like, how are you not leaving with bloody knuckles with how close you're getting your hand to the mound, dude?
Yeah. Chad Bradford was like that too. I remember back in the World Series, like it was like just like, oh my god, dude.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it was a fun. I mean, that's the thing I miss about it, like this day and age of baseball. Because I mean, someone bringing that back up again, it's gonna be like, they need to bring that back because it's been a long time coming since like I've seen stuff like that, man. But just like the younger generation doing that kind of stuff, it's pretty rad, man. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
All right, so let's get into. Hang on a sec. Our minor week report. This is the first time I'll ask you guys this question. So this week we had some good news. Andrew Painter becoming more and more getting closer and closer to the pros. He's now going to be pitching up in Lehigh Valley this week. So that's pretty cool to see Andrew Painter coming. Probably before you know it, maybe that'll be a good observation here. So my question to you, I'll ask you this one question about this. So if Andrew Painter does come up with the Phillies, I mean, who do you designate? Like, do you designate Taijuan Walker? Do you designate Ranger Suarez again? I mean, that's going to be the question. That's going to be the big question because you can't have a 7-man rotation or, God forbid, 6-man rotation. But like Austin, I'll ask you this: like, what do you think the Phillies would do at this point when Andrew Painter decides to come up?
I mean, I would like to think that it means Taijuan Walker gets DFA'd because in a perfect world, that's what would happen. But it could also end up being, a struggling bullpen arm, and we move Walker into the bullpen, let Suarez work out of the bullpen for a bit to sort of get himself back into his groove. So you may end up seeing a guy like a Jordan Romano or somebody get sent down to sort of try and find his timings again. We were talking about that last week. And, you just whatever the move is, you hope it's the right one, honestly, because if you're going to inject a starting arm into the bullpen, you hope that they're going to be able to limit the damage when they have to come in. And if you're going to drop one of this, get rid of a starter, say wow, Austin, words are things that you do a lot and you're struggling with them right now. you would hope hyperbolically that if it was the Taijuan Walker DFA, that you can probably end up getting something back for him in a trade with another team, so that way it's not a complete waste. But it's going to be one of those things. You hope that the decision, whatever it may be, is the right decision for this team going forward.
Yeah, and Mark, same question to you. Who do you think the Phillies would DFA if they have to pick one? If Andrew Painter does come up, who's going to be the one that's going to be designated for assignment?
I mean, similarly, in a perfect world, you do a struggling bullpen arm. I think it'd be a little bit. It would hurt the pride of the front office too much to do it with Kierkering. They had hoped that signing Jordan Romano would elevate Kierkering. It certainly hasn't worked out. And that's not necessarily a Rob Thompson problem, but that's more of the front office problem. I mean, I don't know. That would probably hurt the pride of the front office a little bit too much, because they really had hoped that Kierkering was going to make that jump.
Yeah.
And it just it clearly hasn't been the case. And that would be my clear choice would be Kierkering, but yeah, I don't know. And also in a perfect world is like, would you assess DFA Taijuan Walker? I don't know.
I wouldn't know either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys make very good points about this too, but I guess the big option is that if Andrew Painter does come up, it's going to be like they probably say, okay, Painter's up, now we got to get rid of Taijuan Walker ASAP or Jordan Romano ASAP to say the same thing too. So that's going to be something interesting to what the Phillies would do, but I mean, I know, but there's a lot of people say that Topper is in over his head sometimes with the decisions and sometimes with the Borowski and X, Y, and Z. So it will be interesting to see what they'll do, especially when Andrew Painter is getting closer and closer to becoming, trying to be one step closer to being in the pros. So that'll be something to keep a close eye on, especially what they'll look like in the next few months or so too. All right, before we get out of here, we're going to do one last topic here. It's called the upcoming season preview, series preview. This is a upcoming week. This is some probable pitchers that are happening this week for the Phillies and the Rays series. We'll be back again on Monday for the Phillies and the Guardians series. We'll be recapping that series. So, but for tomorrow's series and then until Thursday, it'll be up at I just keep on forgetting they're still at Steinbrenner Field instead of at Tropicana Field because of what happened over in the wintertime. And I guess they lost. Yeah, it's a real shame. And my thoughts and concerns are with everybody that are still suffering through that. But for the first game between the Phillies and the Rays tomorrow night at Steinbrenner Field, it'll be Zach Wheeler taking the mound once again for the Phillies, who is 2-1 this season and has a ERA of 3.48, and he'll be opposed by Drew Rasmussen. He has a 2-1 this season and has an ERA of 3.34. Wednesday, we got Ranger Suarez taking the mound for the Phils, and he is 3-1 this season and has an ERA of 3.45, as he'll be opposed by Sean Baz. I think his name is Sean Baz. Sean Baz. I was gonna say Ball Skaggs for some reason because that's what I thought. That's what I thought of. The only difference is I have Lito in my head now. That's another story for another day. But for the Rays, it'll be Shane Baz for the Tampa Bay Rays, and then now he is 3-1 this season, similar to Sanchez, and has an ERA of 3.86. And to close out the series, it will be Jesus Luzardo to close it out. And his record, like we mentioned earlier, has a 3-0 record and has an ERA of 1.14. And he'll be opposed by Ryan Pepiot, and he is also 2-4 this season and has an ERA of 4.23. So my final question to you guys is that for this upcoming series, so simply put, guys, what are your expectations of what this Phillies team will look like in the Rays series and the Guardians series going into this this series and the weekend series? Austin, I'll start with you. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I would like to hope that you take it at least 2 out of 3 because Tampa Bay can be a sneakily good offensive team, especially with the guy that they've brought up over the past couple of weeks, the young outfielder Chandler Simpson. Guy is an absolute speed demon.
Mhm.
A lot of it is going to be limiting the amount of guys that you get on base with these guys because, guys like Brandon Lowe, things like that, these guys can really open up a game if given the opportunities. Especially with Zach Wheeler, you want to make sure that you're being as commanding as you possibly can. And it's good to see that we're getting Christopher Sanchez back into the rotation after dealing with that forearm issue, which is great.
Yep.
And to have Luzardo round out that series is going to be very big, especially going into Cleveland for the weekend. You want to be able to try and get a series win here.
Definitely. And Mark, same question to you. What are your expectations of this upcoming series with Tampa Bay and Cleveland?
I'd like to see our starters go 5 to 6 innings, respectively. A big question mark is, because yesterday was weird, a weird circumstance. Alvarado kind of responsible for giving up that big inning in the 10th inning.
Sure.
I have all faith that he'll bounce back and he'll be the same guy that he's been the past month. The big question mark I have is, do we have a clear setup guy? Do we have that number 2 behind Luzardo that we can really trust? Is it Strom? I mean, Romano hasn't done anything, that disastrous, but I'll be real. Every time I watch him on the mound, I'm like, like,
yeah, right.
What's going to happen?
Miss, right?
And I'd like to see someone in the bullpen step up besides Alvarado.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I mean, I was going to say the same thing. Like you guys even said too, is that especially with the Rays, I mean, they're good. They're a very good team this year. I thought they played very well to competition. So it will be interesting to see what they'll look like. And Cleveland, I mean, man, Guardians are just. I mean, I gotta say right now, even though. Like sometimes, like the Phillies play the Guardians, I don't think we do very well up in Cleveland half the time, even though if they're good or bad. I mean, sometimes they really struggle a lot at Progressive Field. So it'll be interesting to see what they look like in the series against Tampa Bay, and it'll be interesting to see what they'll look like against Cleveland to close it, and then to close out that season series on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that'll be something to keep a close on. All right, that's going to do it for us here today. So I want to thank everybody for chiming in. Also, I want to say thank you for everybody that just made it all possible. Austin, where can we see you next? I mean, are you back here again next week?
I believe, if I recall correctly, I have next week off.
Okay.
Let me double check really fast. Yeah, I'm off next week, but during the time that I'm not doing stuff here on Hardcore Sports or over on Streampunk, I do some video game stuff very poorly over at twitch.tv/Hambo26. Probably, I'm not exactly sure what game I'm going to start up next. I just finished up Chrono Trigger over the weekend. Took me about a week and a half to beat that. It was
cool,
stressful a little bit near the end, but
right.
I should probably dive back into Elden Ring. Honestly, I've been sort of keeping that on the back burner because I am, again, like I said, I'm bad with those kinds of games. So
yeah,
it'll probably be worth the entertainment value at least. But aside from that, just getting my studying in for shoot. You know what? Why not? I'll announce it now. Somewhere in the range of mid to late May, I'm going to be starting up my Philadelphia Union /MLS podcast again. So I'm getting
nice.
A bunch of information gathered for that stuff. I'm putting together a list of like different guests that I would want to have on and things of that nature. So be on the lookout for that. But aside from that, just popping around in the Discord every once in a while, throwing random stupid stuff that makes no sense.
Yeah, man.
Pretty much everywhere you can find me. YouTube is under the same name, so
awesome, man. All right, and Mark, I know we saw you on Saturday, and we obviously you're going to be a contributor here on This Week in Phillies Baseball. But where will people see you next? Before we get out of here,
I'll be back in 2 weeks. This has been my second show ever.
Nice. Excellent. All right, that's going to do it for us here today. I want to say thank you for everybody for chiming in and for everybody that made it all possible. Now for everyone behind the scenes and for everyone that made it work here, for Mark Baker, for Austin Hammel, I'm James Scorza, and this has been This Week in Phillies Baseball. We'll see you back here next week. Enjoy the rest of the week, everybody. We'll talk soon. Later.